What's raging, gamers? Welcome to Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show. How you doing, HenricK the Wreck?
You know me, Chris. It's Wednesday. We're here with time to rage.
Hey, man, let's get it. We got so much to discuss. It's going to be a jam-packed show, and we can't thank you, the gamers, for always tuning in live every Wednesday night at 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, because without your support, gamers, this show would not be possible. So we might as well kick it off with a bang and show you guys a lot of viral content that is circulating all across the World Wide Web. So let's get it. Get ready, soldiers, because Battlefield's next mainline entry in 2025 is dropping a new Warzone-like Battle Royale mode. Will we witness more epic clips of teamwork, or just a bunch of players trying to revive each other while simultaneously getting sniped? I know you and I, HenricK, we've both been there, right? I mean, it can be the worst sometimes. Or maybe, or just maybe, something way more creative than you would ever imagine will come to this new Battle Royale. I'm assuming it's going to look something quite like this. So let's go ahead and take a look.
Good stuff. Good fucking stuff.
You know what? It could be really cool. You know, Battlefield does have the advantage of being a game that does heavily focus on vehicular combat as well as foot soldier combat. So, hey, you know, we'll see how it shows up.
I think it's definitely going to get real creative. Hopefully that'll fix that bugginess. That would be actually kind of legendary. I think we need a switch up when it comes to Call of Duty Warzone. But let's go ahead and get right on into the comments, because the first one that we got here is the industry in such a state that if this new Battlefield comes out polished and hits that nostalgic feels, it could be a massive revival. Fingers crossed, miss the good old days on Bad Company and Battlefield 3. I don't think it's ever going to go back to that. What do you think, HenricK?
We've gone too far from what that is and what the companies think we want. And I guess actually it means that they're looking at the statistics and seeing gamers don't want that. At least the majority of them don't.
Right, so, and I think if anything, they're going to want what we don't have in the most latest installment of Battlefield is what happened with the buildings just being wrecked.
Yeah.
You know,
the spectacle of like a skyscraper being torn down as the match goes by.
Right. Yeah. I mean, could you imagine you're in the middle of a battle royale and someone just knocks over a whole building and you just get like a quick 15 kills? Just in one blow? That's what's going to make it badass. Imagine being the enemy team and seeing this. Yeah, you know, do you report them? Or do you just in awe of their creativity, HenricK?
Hey, you know what? Don't hate the gamer, hate the game.
Fair enough. And this type of stuff always made playing with friends extra fun. It's a nice switch from Call of Duty. I haven't played either in many years, but was a nice switch up while still being similar. Laughing out loud. Yeah, I always still have, you know, Battlefield 5 still installed on my PS5, you know, even though I'm not quite visiting it all the time. But hey, I'm looking forward to playing the Battle Royale. You let us know, gamers, if you are as well. But man, HenricK, a gamer is going viral for his impressive artistic skills, bringing himself into the world of Halo as Master Chief. Though it looks like his epic fantasy might come with a plot twist, courtesy of a very unexpected visit from the real Master Chief himself. You gotta love this, fam. You're always going to get finessed every chance you can get. So let's go to the comments. This looks so real. You know what? Kudos to that dude. That is some amazing Adobe After Effects work that he's got going on in this clip. I know the next comment says, can't have nothing in New Mombasa. You know, the African city in Halo.
Yeah.
Where did that get first introduced? I can't remember. Halo 2, that's right.
Yeah.
And last, better result than the Minecraft movie. Ooh, ouch.
Ooh.
Man. Yeah, that's a big stab. I mean,
go show this clip to Jason Momoa. Tell him he needs to fix his look.
Why did they make him look like such a fruitcake? I really just don't understand it. Like, I've been questioning the direction
they made him
of the
look
Minecraft
like
movie.
Timmy Turner.
Yeah,
Fairly
yeah.
Odd Parents.
Yeah, just missing the Odd Parents.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
you know, I love a good meltdown video in video games, especially when it comes to the elite, streamers out there. And Queso is one of my favorites. I don't know about you, HenricK, but like this video is legendary. It's freaking hilarious because I know he just spent an hour grinding through a level of pushing it. And if you guys have no idea what this game's all about, you're gonna get a quick glimpse of what it goes down. But he was convinced he had finally conquered the game, only to hit with the cold, hard truth that he was just a few minutes into the endless loop of frustrations.
Push that stone. You push that stone. I see the finish line now! Don't you dare lose it! No! Let's go! Let's go!
Completed the task once thought to be impossible, and as promised, there's a prize for you. Look back to where you came from. What? Did you think that was it? No, of course not. That was just a tutorial. Okay, don't look so sad, alright? It was fun, wasn't it?
Phase 2 initiated.
That's hilarious. I don't think has anybody also felt that same pain playing pushing it like Queso just did? I mean, that is hysterical.
I haven't in that game because I haven't played that game, but I mean, this reminds me of, you play a game like Elden Ring, you go up against a boss like Millennial, one of the harder bosses, you get the health bar all the way down, boom, second phase. You thought you were done? No, you got a second health bar you got to go through now.
That just happened in Kai Sanat's most recent stream when he was playing Sekiro. Definitely feeling like you just beat the boss and then, no, you're going to get finesse. But let's go straight into the comments because he goes, what they have made of the syphilis? Oh, I can't even say. What's the guy's name? I was about to say syphilis.
Oh, wow. That's very wrong, Chris.
Very, very wrong. That's why you got your boy HenricK the Wreck. That is hilarious. Bro is pushing himself. Ooh. But you know what? I got to say, Queso's really, really funny with his fan base on encouraging that kind of raunchy humor. So yeah, maybe he was pushing himself. Every game is a tutorial if you really think about it. So what? Every short film, every TV show is just an ad. What the hell does that even mean? For
the big feature films?
Yeah, like what the hell does that even mean? Like, okay, whatever. But hey, there's clearly a lot of comments that kind of felt that guy's comment. So I don't know. You guys know? Let us know what's good. HenricK the Wreck, are you ready to rock and roll, my friend?
Absolutely. And I know what time it is. It's time for Pause or Repeat.
Yeah, let's get it.
Hey everyone, this is Pause or Repeat. Here we figure out whether a game is really worth your time and money. Today's game is the Plucky Squire. This is a game published by Devolver Digital, known for publishing the hit game Hotline Miami. The Plucky Squire is another indie game for them to publish, and is developed by All Possible Futures, with a storybook aesthetic. So with that in mind, let's get into the gameplay and see what lies in store. The gameplay of the Plucky Squire falls into the genre of action-adventure. There are enemies to best, puzzles to solve, and even platforming, among other things. The standout feature of the game is the transition from storybook 2D gameplay to 3D world gameplay outside of the book. Using this feature of jumping between the storybook world and the outside world, the game makes you think outside the box, or in this case, the book. Puzzles will sometimes require you to jump between worlds, and there are full segments of the game that take place in one or the other. Throughout it all, however, you'll face many mini challenges on your way to completion of the game as well. These mini challenges shake up the normal gameplay with new scenarios such as flying with a jetpack, which may seem out of place at first glance of the game. And why is that? Well, because of the character you play, of course, so let's get into the story to explain. The Plucky Squire has you play as Jot, the hero of the story. He is a swordsman with a fountain pen sword and a sense of justice. When going through the story initially, even being narrated, you'll soon come across Humgrump, the villain of the story. Humgrump sends Jot flying out of the pages of the storybook in an attempt to change the story. And from there, it is up to Jot to resolve things and bring the story to a proper conclusion. But now the question still stands. Pause or repeat?
If there's anything about this game that's going to really draw people in, because it's just very eye-catching, is the visual design of the fact that you switch between 2D inside the storybook, then pop out and be in 3D in the whole room. What do you think about that, Chris? Am I right in saying that that's like the standout feature?
Oh, 110%, HenricK, because if I were the developers of the Plucky Squire, I would be frantically filling out patents faster than a toad with the 1-up, just to make sure that Nintendo doesn't Mario jump on our mechanics, right? When it comes to the Plucky Squire, and turn it into like a Paper Mario Odyssey crossover of our wildest dreams. I mean, HenricK, could you imagine a Bowser in 3D and 2D at the same time? That would be madness. Oh wait, that's what Pokemon and the Nintendo company are trying to do with Palworld. So like, if you want to control game mechanics, super, super lame. But what they got going on with this game is the game mechanics, jumping from the 2D to the 3D space. I thought they did an excellent job.
No, yeah, definitely. It is 100% the standout feature. It's the thing that drew both you and I'm pretty sure, to playing this game and covering it, because you take one look at this and you see how much care actually went into just creating the aesthetic of this. And sure, it is aimed towards a younger audience, but that doesn't mean necessarily that only the younger audience can enjoy it. I mean, I enjoyed it. I'm sure you enjoyed it as well, Chris. Am I wrong?
No, it felt like the nostalgia was definitely very real. I mean, Jot, our silent protagonist, being voiced by somebody that's going to do like a documentary for the Animal Planet. It was just fantastic.
Oh yeah, he does a great job.
Doesn't he? I mean, you become the hero of a children's book who leaps from his once safe 2D world into a wild 3D adventure, and you're going straight into the bedroom of Sam, his #1 super fan, and it's really, really cool. I mean, you start to see like almost like Sam's room becomes a shrine to the Plucky Squire series, with like shelves bursting with every edition of Jot's stories and walls plastered with posters of his adventures. And, the puzzle design, how did you feel about that? I thought they did a really beautiful job, interweaving it through the jungles, the beaches, the villages, even the mountaintops. I don't know how you felt. I got stuck at the heavy metal land, which I was very excited for, being that hard rock heavy metal fan of music just in general. So like it was everything about it. The magic was real.
Yeah, no, the puzzles, they're not necessarily incredibly hard, not like the Witness level of hard,
right?
But that's not necessarily a bad thing. If you're looking for the Witness level of challenge, this isn't going to be the game for you. But it's not really trying to be that at the same time. It's just trying to be a fun experience. I'd say even the second time through, it'd be a fun experience for most people. And a lot of that has to also do with the fact that you don't just take place in the story in a fantasy land. Like you were saying, to go to, like a heavy metal inspired sort of aesthetic at one point too.
Right.
And that's just a little glimpse of all sorts of diversity of environments you go through in the entire game.
Oh, it's so true. But I feel like the real magic with this game is how Jot can literally mess with the book's text and rewrite his reality to get past obstacles. I mean, you can have like a stone block in your way. Just change the story with the text. Or who knew that just cheating in life was the best part of the game? You know what I'm saying? Like it was. There's a lot of really, really clever elements throughout the game.
There's times too in even those puzzles where you have to get a word, but it's like, okay, well, where are we gonna get the word? It's not on the page. I have to pop out of the book, flip the pages around, grab what I need, then go back and put it where I need it to be.
It's very
it makes you think more than just what you're looking at. In kind of the same way that like a game that makes you backtrack does, but you're not necessarily backtracking in this game at the same time.
Oh, it's very, very clever. I mean, there's a few puzzles out there that got me kind of frustrated at times, but that was the beauty about it, because once you rewrite the rules, basically like changing a river from water to ice, like you're like the world's laziest ice sculptor just to get to an obstacle that's like, I can't swim for some reason. Jot can't swim, so you're gonna need some ice. Or maybe there's a gate that needs to be broken down. Turn it, or maybe you need to get a wooden box to turn it into metal to smash through something. There's a lot of different creative elements through the wordplay, like the word salad throughout the book, that you can just grab a word from a previous page, bring it to the new page that you're trying to flip to the next chapter, per se. It's very, very creative. I just love this whole like next chapter, like plot twisting, genius element that I got going on throughout this game.
Yeah, no, definitely. So I'm seeing from you that this is most likely a repeat for you. Am I right about that?
Oh, it definitely feels like it. I mean, especially, just to even, we were talking a lot about like even the 2D elements, but even think about Jot's out of this world 3D world. I mean, it's quite the power trip.
Yeah.
I mean, you could casually drop bombs, you could stop time, but even the fact that you could drop bombs in a children's book, like, I mean, just the fact that you're dropping bombs in a children's book is kind of funny. I don't know if you noticed that. I thought that was a bit much, but like, you also kind of get a little glimpse of how Sam is growing up. I won't spoil some of the evil elements that come your way towards, let's say, Act 3, but you start to realize that maybe Sam's collection starting to dwindle away from the Plucky Squire and into this grown-up phase. I won't say any more, but you kind of get the idea when you start to play the storyline. But just, again, it's a beautiful game. I am definitely going to say it's a repeat. I think you're going to want to play it with your loved ones, but I do think if they do decide to follow up with, let's say, a second one, HenricK, I would like to see a co-op and a little bit more teamwork with the characters, because they really are throwing words at you, especially they want you to read the story quite a bit, right? I mean, there's a lot of dialogue throughout the game. I just felt like they didn't utilize the characters enough along the journey, like Thrash and Violet or even Moonbeard. So it'd be kind of cool to get that like 2-player experience. But hey, it's still an excellent game, and there's so much more wiggle room. And I don't know if you had a blast picking up the scrolls throughout the game, just kind of getting a glimpse of the behind the scenes of how they made the game happen. Such a freaking cool feature. It's a repeat for me. How about you, HenricK?
It's a repeat for me also, and I do think I can agree on the whole idea of if they make a sequel, add a co-op mode. Even if you want to go as far as making it like It Takes Two kind of co-op mode, where you really have to have a second person to help you out with some certain parts of the game, because that could be really cool. You add all the elements of the puzzles that you had in this, and then now you have the element of having to rely on another person help you out also. Could be a different mode maybe, because I'm not sure if that would be a great idea to go from a game that was single player to a game that requires a co-op player to complete
but they got, like,
but
the thing
that
the thing that we haven't even mentioned either was how awesome the mini games were throughout the story as well. Whether it's like
they
fighting
get really
like a boss
creative.
or not. Like, I mean, there's one moment, even in your just hyping up in your excellent video for Pause to Repeat, there's a moment that you see where you're looking like you're battling a Yu-Gi-Oh player. And there's all
the
these
Magic the Gathering card. Yeah,
exactly.
I thought that was really creative. You're right.
Right, and then there's one point you're doing like a bubble blaster kind of a style mini game. Then there's like one moment where you're like doing the old school Mike Tyson boxing
against
game
a honey badger. Yeah,
I would encourage that even more in the game. And then if you can add like a 2-player experiment with all of that, bringing back all that old school nostalgia video game elements to this video game, they got something special going on that I don't think anybody else is doing. So yeah, it's an excellent game.
The only other game that I can think of that we covered that did like the kind of mini game thing where like every level has like a different gimmick to it was that Princess Peach Showtime game.
True, that's a good point.
But this is also a different game than that. It's not
big time.
It's not the same.
Right. So I mean, that's why I made that joke. It's like, if like we're about to be jumping right into patch notes right now when it comes to this whole patent war thing. Plucky Squire, what are you waiting for? Control every element of your game, or not, because that's kind of lame. But we're going to get into that a bit later on. So stick around, gamers. You heard it from both HenricK the Wreck and I. So are you ready to rock and roll, HenricK the Wreck?
Absolutely. Let's rage a little bit.
Hey, let's get it, baby. What's good, listeners? Welcome to Patch Notes, where my co-host HenricK and I discuss gaming news, industry talk, and so much more. Let's get it. Nintendo and the Pokemon Company have lawyered up and thrown their Poké Balls at the makers of Palworld, claiming the hit survival game is straight up stealing their thunder and possibly their Pikachu. In a legal showdown that's probably happening in a courtroom shaped like a Poké Gym, Nintendo is accusing Palworld of patent infringement after the game earned the nickname Pokemon with Guns because, you know, what's better than friendship? Firepower, apparently. So keep your guns, just don't mess around with the apparatus of our Pokeballs with the following, as you can see on screen. In a first mode, an aiming direction in a virtual space is determined based on a second operation input. A player character is caused to launch. In the aiming direction, an item that affects a field character disposed on a field in the virtual space based on a third operation input. In a second mode, the aiming direction is determined based on the second operation input, and the player character is caused to launch in the aiming direction. A fighting character that fights based on the third operation input. Lot of jargon for saying a whole lot of nothing.
what a bunch of word salad that is.
Oh my Lanta. So as you can only imagine, gamers, everybody quickly reacted to the lawsuit with the following. So let's go ahead and read the first comment. Patents for game mechanics that already exist are becoming a real problem in this industry. Who's going to patent, quote, numerical values that determine player damage output, end quote, or some BS next and sue everyone who has stat-based damage? That's a good point.
Yeah. I mean, there's already some patents on game design mechanics that honestly shouldn't exist. Like, I believe there's some company, I don't remember which one off the top of my head, that owns the patent to a mini game for the loading screen. And it's that would be so great as an option to just, you know, when you're waiting for something to load, you play a mini game. But if a company owns that patent, that means that other people can't put that in their game.
And that just seems very dangerous because I know, you know, Nintendo is coming after them for multiple patents. We're only just showing you one that's clearly revolved around the Pokeball element. But, you know, they're going after them for game menu functionality, touchscreen functionality, controller functionality, console functionality. I mean, this is where it becomes a bit befuddled in a sense. And then you also got people that go, Nintendo shouldn't ride a high horse about someone copying their homework when it comes to, you know, this lawsuit seems to be coming after them more about the game mechanics and less about, hey, your character looks like so-and-so from, you know, Dragon Quest. But it's an absolutely great point that Cancel This Podcast is referring to. The next comment that we got here is actually what they're, you know, some of the patent photos that have been actually submitted since 2021. It says Nintendo is trying to protect the Pokemon IP by suing Palworld. They are merely trying to shut down competitors via patent trolling and abuse, which, yeah, I mean, it feels that way. I mean, how are they going to be the only ones that control this element? I think about like Black Myth Wukong, you know, how like you can pick up a spirit.
All the souls.
The souls.
Oh, the spirits, not souls, yeah.
Right, and so it's like, so are they going to come after them for that kind of element? It just doesn't make any sense. Patent infringement, wow. New lows, Nintendo. Why not make a better game and stop killing off competition on technicalities? Ooh, okay. Some people feel like Pokemon fell off.
Swinging.
But then you also get people like Samantha who's saying, surprised it took this long for them to take action. So some people feel it's necessary that Palworld gets slammed with the court battle. And last, Palworld, we're inspired by Pokemon. Pokemon, I sue you, Palworld. So, I mean, I get where it's like 50-50. It's like, is anyone really surprised that Nintendo is actually slapping a lawsuit on Palworld for copying Pokemon? I mean, when you have people for almost since 2021, HenricK, calling it Pokemon with Guns, it's basically begging for a court date. But I guess the real question that I have is, will we see reworks to Palworld's mechanics and the survival game being temporarily or permanently removed from stores?
You know, what's questionable about this whole situation is when Palworld came out, people were really thinking that Nintendo was going to come after them for just the designs of the pals in the game. Yeah. Some of them really do look like actual Pokemon designs, just slightly modified to be, not the same. But hey, you can see here, they're not actually going after that. They're going after the whole mechanics of the game instead. Now, whether that means that they'll actually win, that will actually determine whether or not there's going to be a big shift to this thing being a problem as a conversation in the industry. Because think about it, there's so many games out there that I'm sure take inspiration from Pokemon, and if they win with patents like this, is that going to mean that all of those games are going to need to be either removed or reworked? I don't think that's going to.
Yeah.
Maybe
Well, especially if they get an injunction,
I don't think that all of them would be removed.
Say it one more time, HenricK. I kind of cut you off.
I was going to say, yeah, maybe Palworld would be the one that would be affected directly from the lawsuit, but I don't see all of them that are inspired by Pokemon being removed or having to go back in and rework things, because not only does this feel like just an oversight of the court system if this wins, but it also is just like, come on, Nintendo. Like,
Yeah. I mean, that's a good
games,
point.
so like that comment said, fix the games, make a better product.
And that's a good point too. And like, I know that there was a few people online that were like, well, why don't they go after all like the Etsy people, that have their stores,
Yeah,
that
who
are
are
basically
selling,
stealing Pokemon characters for
like a bunch
keychains,
of
right? Merchandise
Yeah.
or whatever. Why don't they go after them? Well, guys, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's a little bit easier to go after one studio because the cost would be a lot of money to send out legal notices to everybody, to try to, combat them. It's an easier battle for Nintendo to go after Pocket Pair, which became a major hit with more than 25 million players within a month of its release, compared to trying to go after all these little small stores all over the Etsy, brand. So like when you think about it like that, you're like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. And for people that know the popular franchise of the Pokemon video games, we all understand that Palworld definitely has its similarities, especially when it's centered around collecting stranger creatures with different powers. Pocket Pair's website describes the game as seamlessly integrating elements of battle, monster capturing, training, and base building. So take it for what you will. Does the patent need to be a little bit more clear when it comes to that? Because we just read the word salad.
Yeah,
it's got a lot of jargon in it, but it is really intriguing to read multiple articles all across the web about this, especially when it comes to lawyers, because from what I'm seeing, HenricK, they are envisioning outcomes where Pocket Pair might not be allowed to re-release in certain jurisdictions. Also, some people are wondering if Pocket Pair have to pay a licensing fees, and even will they even be able to keep any infringing mechanics? And if that's the case, that would make it so they would have to completely remove the patented mechanics from Palworld, requiring a relaunch. And what worse timing than the state of play for the PlayStation announcing that Palworld is coming, well, it's out today on the PS5. And so is that a risky investment to even buy Palworld, or do you buy it now to actually play it for how it was until it gets completely ruined by Nintendo if an injunction period does come through?
Well, I really hope that it doesn't come through and I end up disrupting Pocket Pair, because that would really just make Nintendo the bad guy in this sense for a lot of people. Which is a shame, because they do make some pretty good products. But, when it comes to their legal side of things and really trying to troll smaller companies that can't afford their lawyer team, the high and mighty lawyer team that they have, compared to a company like Pocket Pair, yeah, they have money because they had a successful game, but they're not as big as Nintendo. So... Like, that's just kind of like you're punching down at that point as Nintendo. And that's why I hope it doesn't work. It doesn't work out for them, because this would just be them bullying them out of business, essentially.
Well, that's a good point, because when you think about Pocket Pair, they are a smaller independent game developer, and it would require them to allocate time and resources to the lawsuit rather than approving or updating Palworld. So forget any updates as
Which
of
is
this
the thing that people are already, kind of nudging them about. It's like, hey, when is the biggest update going to come out? You have the money, you have the team. Let's come on, let's see something.
Not no more, because they're definitely gonna have to put more focus on this whole Nintendo and the Pokemon Company lawsuit, because even earlier this week, Pokemon reportedly won a $15 million legal fight against several Chinese game developers accused of infringing its copyright. So this is not their first rodeo, Nintendo. They are actually pretty notorious in the industry for doing this. But that's where we will leave this conversation by asking you, the gamers, is it wrong for a studio or even a developer to claim the rights over game mechanics? Let us know what's good. But HenricK, break it down, because this is quite an industry leap of faith or commitment. Let us know what's good.
Game design is gearing up to be AI's next playground. Google's already let AI recreate Doom because nothing says, "Welcome to the future," like robot-generated carnage.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because Doom runs on everything.
Yeah, exactly.
And now, EA, the masterminds behind Battlefield, The Sims, and FIFA, are going all in on generative AI, because who needs human developers when Skynet can code your next football match? And we do have a clip, so let's take a look.
To bring this to life, let me show you a concept video that stitches together some of our more exciting experiments in service of imagination to creation. Let's take a look.
Hey, what if we made a game out of cardboard boxes?
Yeah, let's do it.
Make a maze of cardboard boxes. What do you think?
Not bad. But maybe a little too simple. Make it more complex. How's that? Make 2 characters with weapons.
Okay, let's see. Here we go.
I like this one.
Show me 1v1 combat options.
It should be a death match.
Right? I think this world needs to be bigger. Make it more epic.
Intriguing stuff, considering they chose cardboard as the thing to.
Hey, not intriguing.
This with.
Choose to make it epic, HenricK.
Yeah, but we do have comments, because, of course, gamers reacted to this news with the following.
Yes, we do, HenricK. Let's get right on into it. Wait, so this is a concept video, meaning it's not real, and they could have demoed whatever grand, epic idea they wanted, and they chose a maze of cardboard boxes? They're calling it, quote, imagination to creation, end quote, but I see less than 0 imagination here. Embarrassing, really. Yeah, that's a good point. Like, so, like, this is not an actual, like, demo. This is a concept video. So, yeah, you would have thought that they would have chose something a little bit more special, like Unreal Engine showed when they were first implementing Unreal Engine 5. The next comment we got here is, imagine shareholders fire off all the actual artists and creatives, then put out games generated by AI bros with about as much creativity as exhibited here. Gaming is cooked if this is where it's going. Yeah, I can see how that can be the downside, but then it's also kind of cool and promising on a level. I will be that devil's advocate, where you can actually just go into a text prompt and not actually have to learn about all the crazy coding. I definitely feel like you do need your 3D artist, but like, I feel like this is a pretty cool, awesome start to the right direction if it so works in the benefit for EA. What do you think, HenricK?
The opposing argument to that is, when you actually know the fundamentals and the coding necessary to make this happen, you're not relying on AI, which is trained off of a database of things that it's looked at, and you can maybe make something that AI would never have thought of.
I mean, especially when they're swiping through all those like kind of character directions and they were trying to figure out how they wanted to do their 1v1 match. Isn't this everything that like Lionsgate is hoping for when they sold their souls,
and that's
to the AI?
Too. It's like I get it that shooters are like the dominant force of a genre in the industry, but come on, you could have been a little bit more creative to show a game that was not a shooter.
Well, it's like EA. I mean, they could easily have their like, FIFA football arenas, or they can even do the NFL, and they go, "Hey, Super Bowl,
exactly.
Add this in." I don't know. I mean, maybe it might speed up production. I think it kind of sounds fascinating. I'll buy generative AI games with some generative AI money then. Not paying full game prices for games that are lazily made by AI, but people are still investing in crypto and all that other silly NFT dumb shit. You know, I hear you. I mean, people just don't like the idea. Support the artists. I'm totally with you, but I definitely feel like you can't run away from it. It's gonna merge with our reality, whether gamers or artists like it or not. This next comment here says EA casually making sure nobody can dethrone them for being the worst gaming company ever. I don't know if that's the case. Were we all just celebrating EA College Football 25? I mean, where do people get all this idea that like they're the worst company ever? I don't
well,
get it sometimes.
they do make some anti-consumer moves. I guess that's what this person
I think that's fair to
holding
say.
against them.
Okay, fair enough. I get you, Henry.
Yeah.
And they go, yes. Amazing. Yeah, I know. I think that would be the problem is if you were playing, like, let's say they wanted to do another Dead Space 4 or something like that. And you're like, why does this remind me of Chapter 2 and Chapter 8 has the same layout?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like that's where it would
There's
be
no difference in creativity between the two.
like why do the staircases look the same like every Call of Duty map in multiplayer mode? Huh. And then last, translation. Layoffs incoming. Yeah, good point. You know, we've kind of heard that before. You know, if anything, you know, the 2D artists are in more of a hurt than the 3D artists. But HenricK, you know, especially when you hear, you know, EA's shift towards 100 active AI-led project, is it a recipe for success or could it lead to more glitches than goals?
Well, it's one of those things where if they use this properly and don't use it as a way to cut costs and make shortcuts to making games, then yeah, that's fine. I think I'd be okay with that, you know, if it's just being used as a tool to maybe demo a concept before you dive in and actually handcraft it, or, you know, say if there's some mundane task that an artist doesn't necessarily need to go in and handcraft, AI could probably fill in the rest for you and it'd be fine. But I don't know if I can necessarily trust a company as big as EA to not see this as a way to really just lay off people and say, hey, you know, we don't need all this team to develop games because we have AI to pick up the slack.
Well, people hate this idea if it eliminates crunch period. That's kind of what I'm wondering.
That's a good question, actually. Yeah, I don't know if crunch would ever actually go away, though, because I feel like, if anything, even if this does speed up the process, the deadlines will just get pushed closer to the actual production, not pushed out further or staying at the same deadline-based time frame that they give. Like, it'd probably just be that you're expected to put out the product quicker. And you still have crunch because you're still scrambling to hit that deadline.
Yeah, I think that's a good point that you're referencing. I think, you know, if anything, this tool could work if it's like as if it's being used as like a fine polish element. Like everything overall with the graphical design is already pretty much set in stone when it comes to the actual artist. But then if there's like little tiny elements that they want to add in, if the AI can like help with that I think could be very, very promising. But also at the EA Investor Day, the CEO, Andrew Wilson, was also explaining how they feel like it's going to accelerate how innovators and creators are building entertainment experiences leading to self-expression, content creation, curation, and instant gratification. He feels like the 3 strategic areas that the AI work is going to be focusing on is efficiency, expansion, and transformation. So some of the gamers on here are going, what the hell does that even mean? Well, the first of those means doing things faster and at a higher quality through more iteration and more testing. That's the first part. Then you got expansion, which is really just more about creating a richer colors to paint for a more brilliant world. That's how they are explaining it. And also, HenricK, it's not just about the artistic designs. They believe AI will help with stories that are more personal and nuanced. And finally, the area of transformation involves investigating potential new ways to play and watch games and to create user-generated content in ways that haven't so far been envisioned. Kind of like what you saw in the video. They were messing around with the idea about what kind of elements can we choose with 1 versus 1 match. Yeah, they were a bit generic, but the idea is they're expecting it to give them ideas that they weren't even thinking, I guess, on paper before they brought it to the software. So do you feel like it's a promising feature, or do you expect to actually see it in person first before you believe what you see in Henrik.
Well, we might not ever actually see it in person if.
What? You don't think I'll be alive? I was expecting this.
No, I'm not saying
okay,
that.
Good.
I'm saying the whole thing of like, we might not see it, on our end because it might be a lot of stuff just in the back end.
Because Skynet's going to take us out before we actually get AI games.
Hey, that might happen too. You never know. It could happen tomorrow if we really, think about it like that. But I'm saying, like, if they're using this to like they're saying, iterate and test things internally, then yeah, sure. I don't think that's a huge problem if they're saying, okay, let's think of a concept, have AI make the concept real quick, and then let's see if it actually works. Yeah. Because then we can actually invest the money to polish it and make it a finished product that isn't made entirely by AI. At that point, we don't really see the AI product at that point. We only see the finished product that was made by people. That's what I'm saying.
But also, I feel like, too, if the game's good, the game's good, whether it's AI or not. And I think that's where it's going to have to come down to, because I feel like the same trolls that are like, oh, I hate everything AI, are probably the same people that still went on ChatGPT and generated an image. Okay? Like, they're probably still people that even tested it out. So it's like, it's not going away anytime soon. But then again, we want to hear from you, the gamers. Do you think this is a right, innovative step towards the gaming industry, or do you find this being really problematic and just really damaging storytelling and just innovation when it comes to the creative space of all things gaming? Let us know what's good. But Henrik, I think
Chris,
this is let's get it.
Let us know on another thing that was really damaging for Sony in particular.
Yeah, so like we got a little bit of industry gossip going on right now, and it was pretty clear Sony was taking a massive L with Concord, given the sky-high cost, a player count that you could fit in an elevator, and a shutdown speed that deserves its own speed run category. So according to a gentleman named Colin, an industry veteran who claims to have chatted with someone at Firewalk Studios, Concord cost a jaw-dropping $400 million and was supposed to be the quote-unquote future of PlayStation. Well, we all know that didn't go as well. But just to add more fuel to the fire, like how Star Wars changed the galaxy, but instead, we got a game that's more likely to end up in the bargain bin faster than a lightsaber-wielding Ewok. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, this is the clip that was going viral all across the web. And let's just hear from what Colin has to say.
Concord cost about $400 million to make. Up to the point that the game went into alpha state, they had already spent about $200 million on it. And it's unclear how much of that money is from probably Monsters and the original investors into the game and how much of that money was from Sony. When the game had already had $200 million spent on it and was basically in an alpha form in Q1 of 2023, from that point until the game launched, Sony spent another $200 million on it. The scuttlebutt behind the scenes about Concord is that the game was in a laughable shape. The idea behind this was, and the term apparently verbatim had been used, that Concord is the future of PlayStation. They had such major ambition for this game that it was referred to internally as a Star Wars-like project for Sony, that it can be repeatedly revisited over and over and over again, not only in cross-media, but in what we were seeing. We've already kind of seen little bits of it. So the weekly story vignettes that they were going to release, and then, of course, the inclusion in Amazon's Secret Levels anthology, that's like just scratching the surface of it.
Henrik, I feel like there could be some truth to that. I mean, considering how much we know that they put a lot of focus in the mocap work when it came to the cutscenes.
That's true. The animation quality was like one of the biggest things that you could clearly see in the game had a lot of budget for, because as much as you might not like the game, if you look at the characters, just animations, they're super smooth, very detailed. Maybe not necessarily like the best characterization of the characters, but there's definitely a budget that went into that.
Or just characters you just can't really relate to. But that's a topic for another time. But gamers reacted to, the new news that broke out about Concord's $400 million budget being exposed to the fallen. So let's go ahead and check out the first comment, which I have right here. A developer culture of toxic positivity halted any negative feedback. That was also being reported about Concord, about how nobody can say anything negative about the game because, people were just coddling this thing because maybe you put too much money into it and you got to make it work out.
this I actually could see maybe being absolutely true, because when you get to corporate worlds, like, this is definitely a thing that it needs to be talked about more, is the whole toxic positivity in the workspace. Because if you come in and you have an argument with someone about something, or you have a dispute over something, like, everyone just looks at you like, man, why are you bringing the vibe down? We want to have a good time here.
Sometimes you wonder
we
if
want to have a hostile work environment.
But sometimes you wonder if toxic positivity also means like adding like social political commentary into video games, kind of like what Concord was being accused of. Like, everybody always makes the joke about Sweet Baby Inc. Like, why are they ruining everybody's favorite video games? Like, I'm actually surprised nobody's like, well, you're not hearing it as much with Ghost of Tsushima 2. I could give two shits, but you're going to hear like a very tiny crowd that's like, oh no, where's Chisaki at?
Yeah,
it's just
literally
dumb.
When the game was announced, like you were telling me, you saw immediately just a bunch of comments in the live chat. Woke, woke, woke.
And sometimes you feel like maybe that's where they go, hey, let's bring more positivity. But you're like, no, you're not actually focusing on the gaming. And just to kind of finish with this comment, this lonely Goomba was saying, that is usually how terrible ideas get this far, to be honest. But if you give feedback, you are the bad guy. So people just stop doing that after a while. Let's go into the next comment. This person wrote, Concord budget to make was $400 million to make. That is beyond insane. Yeah, it definitely feels like that. But then we also have Mighty Keith, who's saying, laughing out loud, look, Concord was a massive failure, but I do not believe this number for a second. The whole I know someone that knows something tweets are just never believable for me anymore. Okay, well,
that's fair. It's actually good to have a little bit of skepticism when it comes to things like this. It is a big claim, and we don't even know directly from Sony the claim. So it could be a bunch of malarkey.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. Also, you got another comment here that says PlayStation losing $400 million on Concord is the gift of the decade. Imagine how radically things could have changed if they succeeded. Hope they lose another billion until they remember what video games are really about. And so we have a screenshot of a headline that says Concord lead character designer believes, quote, whites must acknowledge their privileged position and then actively work for equality, end quote. Also claims the judicial system is, quote unquote, white supremacy. So like, that's where like some people felt like why am I feeling like I'm getting educated in a hero shooter game? Like, what are we doing? 1 million per a copy of the game sold.
Only 400 copies sold.
Yeah, right, exactly. I love that. And last, we got this gentleman right here, and it says Genshin had a production cost of just 100 million, yet it has generated several billion in revenue. So, I mean, some people might feel like it's not believable with Concord. Some people have actually seen amazing success. Others, like Sony, have not. So, wow, HenricK, why would Sony dump another $200 million into Concord when even the most beloved franchises would need a GoFundMe to dream of a kind of budget that they just got? I mean, this is insane.
Well, ain't that the $400 million question?
Yeah,
like, it really is such a, like, why? If this is true, why did you do that? This studio didn't have a track record of doing anything at all, really, until this game. And when you look at the budget of even The Last of Us 2, it only had 200 million. So when you doubled that for this, either you really, really were sold on the idea of the game by the studio, or maybe, tinfoil hat here, maybe this was a laundering scheme. Because
I haven't heard that angle yet.
Almost as bad as, what would be a laundering
tax write-off.
Tax write-off sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, some of the information that we're getting from this is that they were saying that before the game hit alpha state, they'd already spent $200 million on it. So it was unclear how much from the original owners or the investors and how much is from Sony. So after that, from 2021 to the 2024 launch, Sony spent another $200 million on it. And so that's where everybody was like, what are we doing? This is in such a laughable shape. when it was shown in that alpha state. So Sony felt like they needed to spend that much to get it into the minimal viable product status. And so that's why people were just questioning why they would do such a thing. We just got the Sony State of Play. People were like, what the heck? I thought we were getting a Days Gone remastered. What happened with Bloodborne that everybody keeps calling for? Instead of actually, doing things that the gamer base is asking for, they decide to fork in more money to try to revive a dead carcass, in a sense. And it's just crazy how there's that much kind of money being thrown around.
It makes you wonder, where did all the 200 million go after it being in an alpha state? Make it to where it was when it got released. Well, you can go on YouTube and you can look at the credits for the game, and it's over an hour long. The credits. Granted, it's not a game that has a campaign, so you don't have to get to the credits. It's just a little thing you can click on. Mm-hmm. But the fact that it's an hour long shows how many people were involved from top to bottom in this game. And, all those people need to be, paid. Yeah. And they were also working on this game for 8 years. So that's a lot of money just going towards that.
And HenricK, it's hard to, pay for all those workers for a 1 hour, credit scene when, you got to maintain the game. For additional millions a month, because it is a live service hero shooter game. And so Concord is the biggest budget game Sony has ever released. It's probably one of the biggest loss they've ever taken. And there are other games being worked on at Sony that cost more than this. But in terms of what's already out, this is the largest, and it's a total loss. So for a game that was supposed to be the future of PlayStation, a Star Wars-like project, and, it's still going to be represented in Amazon's secret level, I'm just wondering if we'll ever see a revival of Concord. I kind of have a weird feeling they're going to do everything in their power to try to bring Concord back. Maybe not in the fashion that it was going to get delivered. Maybe it's going to be a low knockoff end, but we all know that blame was placed down already. The head of Firewalk has already stepped down. And so
true.
Will they continue with this, or will they just, like you said, take a tax write-off?
Well, if they do come back, we'll have to rework a lot of things.
That's right. So, hey, gamers, did you feel like this is probably one of the worst epic fails that Sony has ever done? And will they have even more of this to come if they don't follow up on the player base's demands? Or would you like to see budgets exceed up into the 400 million?
You want to see Sony fail and lose more money?
I mean, if they can make a kick-ass video game for $400 million, I mean, shoot, they'd be throwing a lot of money towards James Cameron, for example, with Avatar, and that movie sucked ass. I might be misspeaking if they're with Sony, but I'm just saying, there's a lot of movies that get thrown out and they still suck ass.
True.
So, someone might be able to pull it off. I don't know. I don't know what I was trying to get there with that. But you know what I do know we have right now, HenricK?
What's that?
Come on, just break it down for everybody.
All right. Well, hold on to your controllers, because we're back at it again with another viral Reddit gem.
Yes,
and today's question, what's a real-life skill you learned from video games? One gamer shared they learned poker from Far Cry 3, because who needs Vegas when you got Vaz?
That's right.
And apparently, Way of the Hunter is teaching people how to hunt, just in case you ever need to track down a deer between loading screens. Because, you take your Steam Deck out into the forest, that's how you're going to play out there in the forest with no power or anything like that.
Yeah, it's like Ella in The Last of Us, right? Oh, yeah. How do I find a deer? Find the blood in the snow. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm a hunter now.
Yeah, exactly. And, of course, gamers shared their thoughts with the following comments.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. First one says, games have really helped me learn English as a non-native speaker, coordination and awareness of my surroundings. I think that's such a cool, powerful tool. You hear that all the time, even when it comes to music. You get people in South America or even think about the success that Linkin Park is getting right now. They just dropped that Heavy is the Crown. Within the first 3 hours, HenricK, it got over a little under 2 million views. And so I know there's a lot of people in Japan and everywhere around the world that learn English through the power of music. And I can clearly see people learning English through the power of video games. I think that's really, really cool. It hasn't quite worked for me playing a Spanish game, but I can see how it's worked for others. I can fly small airplanes thanks to several flight simulators I've played over the years. And another guy follows up, added to the CIA watch list. You know, I've always wondered that in a sense. I remember going to Anaheim, California one time and getting an amazing gift from my parents to go and do one of those flight simulators. And you know, you were in the seat of the cockpit. It definitely felt really, really real. All I know is I can't land a plane. So
it's not easy.
It's not easy. So if I can't figure it out there, I mean, I'm sure there's some truth to it. I've seen some trucking simulators. Ever seen those videos where like guys are like, it's wild stuff. Multitasking. Being a raid leader or a healer in World of Warcraft surely helped me learn how to juggle quickly between things in the most efficient possible way. I know you made a joke about this.
Yeah, I can agree with this because I did raid lead in the Wrath of the Lich King expansion of World of Warcraft, and multitasking is just one part of it, but also you got to organize everyone, and it's also a voluntary thing. You know, you're not paying these people, so
hey, they didn't even have Discord back then either. You know,
well, we had
video
other
calls
things. We had
to
other
throw up.
things like Ventrilo, and I believe. Yeah, exactly. Like people don't even know what Ventrilo is.
You might be talking
anymore,
to Gen Z. I just saw a video with all these NFL players. They didn't even know what a VHS was. They're not gonna know what you just said right now, Henry.
Yeah, but even then, you know, people don't necessarily have a microphone, so that's another
a good
struggle.
point. Playing Dark Souls literally changed my life. Before playing, I was quick to anger, would blame everything under the sun before myself, and found it hard to stick to one thing. With encouragement from my brother, I decided I was going to play all 3 Dark Souls in succession, and through doing so, I learned patience, self-accountability, and discipline, all skills which have completely reshaped my life. Although it's probably not the intention of the creators, I've always viewed Dark Soul bosses as fighting your own demons in life, and the very last boss is conquering yourself. I'm sure the people with Dark Souls would really appreciate that comment. I mean,
you got really introspective with that one.
Yeah, no, big time. I mean, those Dark Soul games, I lose my patience. I just leave. I learned something about myself. RPGs really helped my reading comprehension as a kid. I was already an avid reader, but then I also spent a lot of time playing RPGs that involved a lot of reading as well. Playing World of Warcraft at rural satellite internet helped my typing speed tremendously. I couldn't use voice, so I had to type everything very quickly. And Poker Night at the Inventory 2 taught me poker. So everybody's learning poker. People learning how to type quick. And now we are reading. And it's funny because I was thinking about that first sentence. Did that flow well with you? Because I know you made a comment in the past shows where you're just like, man, I'm sick and tired of reading shit in video games.
Well, in certain contexts, sure. Because, if I'm in like an action game where I'm, hacking and slashing enemies left and right, and then all of a sudden I have to read something. Okay, come on.
You don't like that kind of stuff?
Action.
I like that in the elements when it came to Dead Space. I know everybody's going to get excited because it just showed up on the new PS Plus for the month. If you haven't played the remastered, excellent game. But it's really cool picking up the notes and just to kind of figure out the lore of what was going on in this space vessel.
That's a bit of a slow-paced game until you're actually in the action. But the in-between moments
that's a good point.
Are supposed to be slow because you're building the tension to the action.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'll give you that one. And last, value of money. Don't waste on stupid digital junk, early premium price pre-orders because you can't effing wait 3 days or donations to amateur actors. Damn, that was quite the stab towards the end. There's a lot of amazing mocap actors out there in the video game space, so shame on you, young man. That was not cool. But I get where you're coming from. But HenricK, what real-life skill did you learn from video games like negotiating peace treaties in a multiplayer match? It's just the fine art of looting a fridge for snacks because, sometimes when you're low on those Cheetos and you want to survive until 1 a.m. and 2 a.m., you have to kind of allocate your snacks in the right order. So, you have to leave some for the morning maybe or for work.
That is a skill in itself. You're right.
Yep, right.
I would say the skill that I learned from playing video games very early on, online video games at least, was just talking to online strangers and it being actually kind of normal, because, I'm sure maybe you grew up in the same kind of household that was saying, don't ever talk to strangers on the internet because they might come and do something weird. And, you know, granted, I wasn't giving people my address.
Right. Yeah.
But, like, you know, breaking out of the shell, sorry, mom and dad, and of, you know, talking to random people online and realizing that I can do that in a safe manner was a very valuable skill.
Or just even how to conduct yourself just in general. You're going to get some dumbasses every once in a while. Like I'll be playing, you know, Madden, for example. You're always going to get the one guy just chirping, just trying to egg you on.
Throwing
Sometimes
slurs
it's just like
your way, everything. Yeah.
Everything. And you just kind of learn to just mute them out. And then when you start to win, you humble them real quickly.
Absolutely. That is the best way to do it is you win instead of them.
No, I think that's a really good point. I would say for me, like at the earliest that I could recall when I first started playing video games, what's the number one real life skill that I learned? It probably was hand-eye coordination, easily. I mean, that's the biggest thing I'm even noticing, even with my nephew, when he loves coming over playing on the PS5. It's like, you do realize you have an R3 stick. You need to control the camera. And he's not quite there yet, but I have a feeling like all those skills definitely will apply as you grow up as an adult. And I just got to say this because like Dan Orlovsky said on ESPN's Get Up last week, I feel like this same joke can apply. HenricK, what kind of coordination did Whitney Houston have when she was playing video games?
What kind?
Okay, I'm done. But you know, but another real life skill I also would have to say is like, how about GTA helping us all learn how to back up a trailer hitch? You know, I don't know. Has anybody ever like this? I felt like that related with me when I was in the pool table business. You know, you're picking up, 7 to 9 foot pool table. Sometimes it's not always going to fit in, your Ford Explorer. I know people are probably wondering, you can fit a pool table in a Ford Explorer. Trust me, it's not just all in one piece. You got to take the legs down, take down the body, take down the 3 pieces of slate.
That is a dismantling project right there.
But like sometimes you go to Big Bear and you got like some of these like wonky, driveways, and you got to be able to learn how to drive that, that trailer hitch, and you'd be very, very surprised when you got to go and pick up that package in GTA, and sometimes you have to back that truck in or that hitch. I was quite surprised, like how well that translated into the real world. So,
it's a no risk environment to learn that sort of thing. I'm sure people could say the same thing about just driving in general. Hopefully the people driving who learned from GTA didn't take the skills of like running over people. But,
trust me, no pedestrians harmed. Okay, no pedestrians harmed. And I always stop. I always stop at every red light when I play GTA. Psych. No,
really?
That's not the case.
Really?
Hey, but forget it. We want to know from you, the gamers, what's a real life skill that you learned in video games that apply to your everyday life? Let us know what's good. But man, this has been such a kick-ass show, and we can't thank you, the gamers, for always tuning in every Wednesday night at 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, because without your support, gamers, this show would not be possible. And while you're at the end of the show, we want to let you guys know, if you haven't scanned the QR code, this is my YouTube channel. Hit the like, share, and subscribe button, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a live show.
And go ahead and scan that QR code down there as well. You'll go to my YouTube channel, and I'd like you, if you go there, tell me what you'd like to see. I'll probably take some suggestions from people and make some more comments.
Dude, I gotta just say, kudos to you on your YouTube channel recently, man. You had a meme that just blew up, and with the whole 40K and the emo girl, that thing is so freaking hilarious. Go support the homeboy HenricK the Wreck. He's got a lot of amazing things cooking up, all things gaming. What are you waiting for? And man, this has been such a blast, and we will see you next week, gamers. Peace.
See ya.